Hey guys, Tinker Taylor here today, back at it with the Pokemon Build Series Challenge. It's not a challenge, I keep calling it a challenge. No, but we are back to this series, which I'm so super excited about. So if this is your first time ever hearing about it, what I'm pretty much doing is each Pokemon is getting its own build. So today we are working on Nidoran, which is the start of the male evolutionary line of the little ferret looking, they're not ferret, they're like mice looking creatures. So yeah, the masculine Nidoran looks like a very angry mouse with really big ears and some spikes on it, and it's purple. And it is a poison type, just like the female evolutionary line. Now, when I was doing that previous evolutionary line, I talked about doing, the female one very feminine, so soft and, like soft shapes and colours and things like that, and I would try and do a bit more of a masculine shapes and colours for the masculine line, not necessarily making it, a female-oriented build and a male-oriented build, but just feminine and masculine. But when I kind of came to that decision, I had already made it that I wanted this to be a flower shop, and so I committed to that idea because I really liked it, and I wanted to keep doing it, so that is exactly what I've done here. It's made a little flower shop, although it does, towards the end, have a little bit of a suspicious room. Just don't ask questions about that, it's just a room, it's there. I'll talk about it when we get there, maybe. But anyway, yeah, this build was actually sort of inspired by a couple of different TV shows. I can't remember the one of them, but it was some sort of crime show. I think it must have been Criminal Minds. And there was an episode where the people of relevance to the episode were at a flower shop, and I really liked the vibes of how the flower shop looked. It was just very like crowded with lots of plants and whatnot, but then there was like another little back room and they had more plants back there. But the other inspiration for this build, which was the initial inspiration, was Blacklist. Now, if you've seen any of my more recent videos, there's been a couple of them that have been kind of inspired by the Blacklist. Or I've talked about wanting to be inspired by the Blacklist or trying to recreate things from it. And this is one of them. So there is an episode, I believe it's season 2, where they're at a flower shop. The flower shop itself isn't necessarily important to the plot or anything, which made it extremely difficult to find when I was trying to look for it. I looked up Blacklist Flower Shop, and I managed to find the episode that it was from, I think it's called Kenyon, which, I've seen that episode, that's how I know what the flower shop looks like, but I couldn't find any pictures of it, and looking up the owner of the store just takes me to a different character, because I don't have the last name for the flower shop owner, but there is another character in the series with the same name, so when you Google it, even if you put in flower shop next to the name, it still doesn't come up with anything, so there's no pictures of it at all that I could find. And yeah, I could have gone back and watched the episode, but I knew that would lead me down a rabbit hole of binge watching it and not getting any of my builds done, so I made the executive decision to not get thoroughly distracted, and I'm pretty happy that I did. I actually also spent 2 days building this, so the reason why we took a little break from the Pokemon Build series is that I was doing the A to Z challenge, and that is a challenge where each week you get a new letter and you do a build based on that letter. I do it in 26 days over February, and because of that, yeah, I take little breaks out during February. I will be doing that every year to do that challenge, but because it's only 26 letters of the alphabet and 28 or 29 days of February, I get the last couple of days off. I've decided not to build on those days, so I spent those 2 days building this, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I did struggle with it for a little while. Like, a lot. I think I tried starting to build this twice. I recorded the first one. The second one was kind of just like, I kind of am guessing what I'm doing here, and it gave me a little bit of inspiration for what we end up with here. So yeah, look, sometimes I do really struggle with builds, and I feel like you can definitely tell when I'm struggling, because I'll just be going back and forward and building walls and removing them and adding things and removing them, and okay, what about this wallpaper, and no, I don't want that one, or I pick one and then I come back and I change it. So, you know, and I do try and keep that stuff in my videos as much as possible so that you guys can see that, you know, I'm not one of those builders who can just build everything and it looks great. I'm one of those builders who struggles a little bit. I won't lie to you guys, it's not as easy as it looks. And it can be really, really hard sometimes. So yeah, if you're ever feeling like you're struggling, you're not alone. I totally get it. There are so many things that, like, I have this picture in my head, but I can't get the picture from my head into the game. And it's not necessarily the game's fault, it's sort of my brain's fault. And I guess, like, at the end of the day, I'm still learning, I'm still figuring it out. There are people who've been playing The Sims since forever. A lot longer than I have. I've mentioned this before, I didn't grow up with video games, so I didn't get to play Sims growing up. So yeah, it's something that, it makes me a little bit sad that I'm not someone who played these games growing up, but also at the same time, I don't know how different my life would have been if I had played these growing up. I think this definitely would have been a big distraction for me growing up. So I'm kind of, part of me is glad, but I think part of me is also like, be glad that you're not sad. Because I love this game, I really do. I love building in it, and it just makes me so happy and relaxed. Even when I am sitting there stressing out and going, what am I doing? I don't know, I hate this. I love it. I love the whole process of it. You know, coming up with a build and figuring it out, and how do I get from here to here, and oh, let's pick these colours, and it's a whole process, and I love the whole process. I don't think I would change it for the world. You know, are there certain things that I wish in-game were a lot easier? Absolutely. Do I wish that I could create round rooms easier? Absolutely. There are builds, ideas I have in my head that I really wish I could do, but I just don't know if I can, because of the limitations of the game, and the other stuff that I want to do, I don't know if I can because of the limitations within myself. But I still have fun and I still do it, so, you know, if you're ever struggling, just get in there and get something done. It doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not. And I guess that's like the whole purpose of the A to Z challenge, is that it's supposed to be something where you try something new, try something different, try something that you've tried before that maybe you're not necessarily good at and you want to try and improve in. So yeah, definitely check out that challenge if that's something you're interested in. It's run from July to December, so you've still got heaps of time if you want to get started in advance. There's no rules about when you start, it's just, yeah, things are due by a certain time. And yeah, I don't know, it's very an interesting challenge. And what I love about it too is that you don't have to do every week, you don't have to do every letter, you could do every once in a while, you could do the letters that you find challenging or the builds you find challenging, you could do ones that you just find easy. It's really up to you what you want to do. And it's not just building, so if you want to do CAS as well, CAS is definitely an option. So yeah, if you're interested, definitely head over to, it's on my Instagram at the moment, so like the previous year's ones are, but I'm thinking about putting it in several other places so that's a bit more accessible to everyone, because I know not everybody has or wants, what's it called, Instagram, and the entries are going to be through the gallery, so as long as you know what the hashtags are and the due dates, you'll be fine. It will be in the gallery that I find these builds. So yeah, if you want to look at inspiration and whatnot, the hashtags for the 2 previous years that I've done it will be in my Instagram. I just don't remember off the top of my head. I think last year was 2025 build A for if you were building for week A. I also had one for rooms and cast, so you just got to change out the word build for the word castle build. And then whatever letter, you just change out the letter at the end. But I think, did I say 2025? I meant 2024, sorry. But I think I'm going to do something similar this year, which is why, yeah, this year will be 2025. I don't know. If you guys are interested, definitely check out what I've done for the previous couple of years if you're looking for ideas and whatnot. Also, the only other rule, I know I said that you can start early and you don't have to do every week, but one hard and fast rule that is if you want to enter officially, you can't use CC. I mean, I'm not going to stop you from using CC in your own game if you want to participate in the challenge anyway, but yeah, I won't be looking at the CC builds, just because, yeah, not a lot of people can or want CC, can have it or want CC, so yeah, if you do want to use it, that, again, that's absolutely fine, that's absolutely your choice, it's just, yeah, not a part of the challenge. I know I used it in the challenge, but I'm not a part of it. I mean, yeah, I technically am, I run it, but I don't enter the challenge, so again, if you want to get involved, and you want to use CC, that's absolutely your choice, it's just, it won't be officially part of the challenge. Because, yeah, it's just easier and more fair on everybody. Although saying that, like, console players, I swear you guys are just, like, the best builders I've ever seen in my entire life. Don't get me wrong, there are PC players who are brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. You know, there are people I know who just have these little laptops that barely run anything, and they put things in the builds that, and the way they just put everything together, I'm like, how did you do that on a laptop that can barely open Chrome? Like, you're amazing. But also console players, you guys are amazing too. Like, the amount of limitations that you guys get, I mean, not even being able to have tool mod, that, I don't know how you guys do that. It's insane. I know there are some people who will upload items to the gallery tooled so that people who don't have tool or can't have tool can download these things and use them within their game, but it's just like, what? You guys don't have that? That's insane. I've had a friend who is a console player and a friend who's a PC player, and the PC player will put, like, make tool things into the place the console player wants them and upload them just so the console player can download them. It's insane. And even, like, if you get gallery art, if the gallery marks it as CC and you upload your own build, you won't be able to see your own build because it's got CC in it according to the gallery. But it doesn't. It just has gallery art. So that same duo, the console player has to ask the PC player to download the build, get rid of the art, re-upload it so that they can download it again to be able to re-upload it with any piece of art that doesn't have CC in it or something along those lines. Like, it's absolutely insane that stuff, like, that, why is that a thing? That's absolutely insane. Also, one thing I probably should mention with the A to Z challenge, which I kind of hinted at for a second there, if you are building, you do not have to do a full-blown build. Like what I'm doing now is a build. It's not a room, it's a build. So, but if you want to do a room, you absolutely can, and the room is really up to you. Do you want it to be a 3x3 room? Do you want it to be a 5x5 room? Do you want it to be a weird shaped room? Like, whatever it is you want, if you just want to do a room, you can also do that. And with Cass, if you want to do, like, everything possible, like, even going down to the point of doing their skills, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm probably not going to look at their skills, because I don't know how Cass works. I don't know how playing the game, it's not my forte. But if you just want to make a single outfit or a single sim, you absolutely could do that. But you also could, I don't know, like, if you wanted to upload, let's say for C you do a cat, you could go ahead and just make a cat based on like all of the pre-selected things, which is what I would do. Or you could go in and try and recreate my cat I made. If you did that, oh my goodness, I think I would cry a little bit, because that is like the sweetest thing you could possibly do. So yeah, if you wanna recreate something as accurate and specific as possible, you can. If you want to just do something simple, it's really up to you. This whole challenge is supposed to just be a way of, I don't know, just relaxing and exploring the game. And that's what I love about this game, is you can just explore and do weird and wacky and fun things. Like, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be, I can't even think of, like, anything massively, like, okay, let's say, for C, you don't have to do a castle build, like, a massive, big castle build. You could just do, like, a castle room, where it's, like, maybe the dining room of the castle or whatever. I mean, although technically that would be D for dining room, but that's not the point. The point is, like, if you've never done a room build before, go ahead and try that. I know some people might be like, oh, that's simple and easy, but I don't really do room builds. The last time I think I actually did a room build shell for somebody, I turned it into an entire lot. You're kind of supposed to just do the room, but I did the outside as well. I turned it into a tent. So I kind of broke the rules a little bit, but we all know me. That's what I do. I don't follow the rules because I don't even realize that I'm breaking them half the time, or by the time I do realize I've broken them, it's too late. So yeah, I mean, the same person, Sarius LP, did a Christmas shell challenge where you could pick from 15 different shells that you could do, and yeah, if you wanted to do any of them, you could do multiple if you wanted and whatnot, but you were supposed to do one build per lot, and I did 5 in one. I was originally going to do 3 lots with 5 in them, but I lost track of time. That build took a long time, so yeah, I lost a lot of time. It was over the Christmas period as well, so I didn't have a lot of time set aside to be able to do that. So long story short, yeah, it was a little crazy to be able to get that done in that time, but yeah, I definitely didn't get the other ones done. I did set them up, so there is a lot somewhere out there with, I think I only set up one other lot, but there's a lot somewhere out there in one of my save files. I say one of my, I've only got 4. Technically 5 save files, but one of them seriously Sims blank save file, and I don't use that one because I use that one as like a copy save as new world, so that I'm not using that one. But what was I saying? Yeah, it's in one of those save files, and it's 5 shells sitting on the really big lot in Del Sol Valley, the 64 by 64 I think it is, and I was going to turn it into like a Christmas scene, maybe in Australia, because the first one was kind of a rural Australian-based Christmas scene where it was, I don't know, yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much. There is a video somewhere, if you look, I think it's just called Christmas Village. I might be wrong. But yeah, I built a Christmas village. I'm not going to say too much, but yes, Australian rural Christmas village. So the other 2 were going to be a kind of like a suburban Christmas village for Australia. I say village, but that's the builds were like called a Christmas village. But the suburban one was kind of going to be those suburbs, because there are suburbs around in Australia where they are the places known for all the Christmas lights. Like, you all go there to have a look at the Christmas lights, and I was going to do something kind of like that, and like I said before, I ran out of time. And then the last one was going to be in, I can't remember, Mount Comarebi. I'm terrible with these names sometimes, I swear. I say sometimes, all the time. In Mount Comarebi, again on that really big lot up on top of the mountain, and I was gonna do, yeah, like a Christmas village, but snowy version, and a bit more Asian inspired, I guess, because I feel like a lot of Christmas themed stuff tends to be very Americanized. You know, like, I know Australia's Western, but how many Christmas scenes have you seen within movies and TV shows that are based in Australia? Like, how many summer Christmases have you seen? That's a reality for me. Like, right now, it's the 1st of March, and it's still hot, despite the fact that it shouldn't be hot anymore. And, you know, it's a kind of annoying thing, like, that it's always so hot over Christmas, because you don't really want to do much. I mean, it depends on where you are exactly and what your traditions are. My family, we all used to go to my great-grandparents' house, and there was a field at the back of their house, and we would play this, it's like cricket, but we had tennis rackets and a tennis ball instead, and we used to play that all the time. And, like, don't get me wrong, my great-grandparents are still around, it's just that they're not really up to hosting it anymore. It's a bit much. It's a big preparation for them to prepare for my family. My family on that side is more than mildly big. Like, I don't want to go too much into talking about my family. I do like to keep some sort of privacy, but yeah, that side of the family is bigger than some people's entire families on both sides. That's all I will say. So yeah, it can be quite a lot for my great-grandparents, and that was a core component of my childhood. Unfortunately, where they live, there's been some development, and my great-grandfather actually so when you open his back fence, it's still a field, it's still like a park area, but they've actually built a proper playground there, because he fought the council basically to say, like, this is a tradition that we do every year. There are other neighborhood kids who play back there, and you can't take this land and then just remove, like, what are the kids gonna do? You need to do something about it. So they listened and they put in a park, which I think is really, really cool. So now there's a really nice park out there, and yes, there's housing developments, like the housing being built and whatnot, which housing being built isn't the problem. It's just that, yeah, like, losing that little bit of land would have really upset a lot of that little area, obviously, especially my family, but also a lot of the neighbours and whatnot. Like, I remember as a kid, the neighbours to one side, they had kids who were a very similar age to me, and we would go out in the back in the field and play. And, like, again, my great-grandfather would go out there and cut a big patch of that grass area to make sure it was safe, and we knew not to go out into the bush area, but there was a large patch of it, and it wasn't just my great-grandfather, it was you know, a few of the houses that would go out there and make sure that the areas right around the back of the houses were safe for us to go play around in. And yeah, it's really nice to see that people kind of listen to that, because I've never really experienced something like that before, you know. I've heard of people saying, like, this is how we live and this is normal and whatnot, and yeah, to have that sort of impact and ensure that future generations can continue using that area. Maybe they don't use it in the same way, maybe they don't have the same traditions and whatnot, but at least they have the chance of having a place to hang out and play and whatnot, you know? Because I've been there recently, and I've seen some of these houses, people are already living in them, and I've seen, like, kids' bikes and stuff like that. I've seen kids come to the playground and play, and it's, like, it feels really heartwarming to know that, like, my great-grandfather did that. He made sure that there was a place for all the kids to play, and I love that. I think that's so, I don't know, just something very genuine and sweet and caring. I feel like not a lot of people worry about these things anymore, so, you know, I don't know what else to add to that. I don't know, yeah. I love my great-grandparents. They fill me with such joy, and I seriously could talk about them from now until forever. You know, they're just such fantastic people, and they've had such interesting lives. I love talking to them, because obviously with older generations, they tend to be a bit more traditional in beliefs and ideologies and whatnot, but I feel like my great-grandparents are pretty progressive for their age. You know, there's been things that we've talked about that they're like, I don't really understand what you're talking about, but I'll listen and I'll try and understand, and I love them for that. You know, it's like me with technology. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'll try. I'll okay, sure, like that okay. Or whenever like Onion is telling me about his game, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll listen. Okay, sure. What does that mean? Okay, I'll try and remember that. But it feels very much like that. Like, it's not that, you know, yes, they grew up in a time where things were very different and would be very are very controversial when they happen today. But they're not like that. They really try to be a bit more understanding, and they just listen. I think that's the most important thing, is they just listen. You know, a lot of my family have such different lifestyles, and they have never really kicked anyone out. They've never really said, you aren't welcome here, or made anyone feel unwelcome, as far as I know. And yeah, every different family member that we talk to it's the same thing. They're just the most wonderful people. And again, I've said, we all have different lifestyles, we all have different ideologies, we all have different everything. But the fact that everyone loves them, and everyone thinks that they are, they're just like very, very good people. I really love that, because it just goes to show that, like, I don't know, they're just wonderful people, absolutely wonderful people. And again, like I said, I could talk about them from now until the end of time, but I think I'm gonna take us back to the build here, because yeah, I seriously love them, and I'm so grateful to have them. But you guys came here for the build and not to talk about my great-grandparents, who are fantastic, amazing, wonderful people. So yeah, we are coming up towards the end of the build here. We still have that little room at the back I was telling you about, which is where the Blacklist inspiredness comes from. So if you have seen the episode that I was talking about from Blacklist, you'll probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, it's very much inspired by that. If you haven't seen it, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about once we actually get to said room. I'll be honest with you guys, I've been totally distracted, so I'm not even 100% sure if we've done it yet or not, but I don't think we have, because I remember doing landscaping before I did the rest of the build, which we're back to me doing very terrible landscaping, which is very normal. So yeah, again, if you've got any landscaping tips, please, down below would be a great place to put them. I would love, 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 love to hear what you have to say, because I'm not that great at it. There's just, I think the floor paint, not what the terrain paint, that's the word. I think the terrain paint is what threw me off, because it was like a normal grassy area, and then I decided to put this green grass everywhere, and I think maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I think towards the end, I'm pretty happy with the front of it. This back side here, questionable. But I think I also kind of want to leave that a little bit blank and empty, as if maybe someone, if you need to like exit out the back, you can do that without worrying about climbing over all these different plants and whatnot. And it also kind of traps in the lot, so if you were to cover it up, you know, there is a road there, so people driving past would kind of totally not see the build. I mean, they would absolutely see the build, but that's not the point. The point being, like, I'm just not very sure what I was doing, how I was doing it, why I was doing it, and yeah, the landscaping's still very questionable to me. But yeah, I think we're about to move to that back room in just a minute, so yeah, it becomes a little bit of a questionable room. It's totally not questionable at all. They put plants on this table and cut them up and turn them into bouquets, and don't worry about the fire. There's no reason for the fire there at all. And they put the newspapers down because, you know, when you pull water, flowers and stuff out of water, it drips everywhere. And you know, these little curtain things on the wall, it's because when you flick, then you're pulling out roses and stuff. It can splatter everywhere, I guess. I don't. Yeah, it's totally not sus. And there is a little laundry here too, and a little sink area, so if you need to wash your hands for any reason, or to wash your clothes for any reason, there is a place to do that. And you know, just see, this is what I was talking about, the stain on the floor. It's because of the water. You know, there's constantly water all over the floor, and they're constantly having to clean up. It's not at all weird. You're just thinking odd, weird things. I don't know what you think happens in this room. It's just flower creating and painting flowers. You know how the Queen of Hearts paints flowers red? Same thing here. That's how these roses get their really nice red colour here. Isn't it, guys? Anyway, like I said, we're getting very close to the end here. If you have enjoyed my ramblings or my build, or if you want to hear more about other stuff, other challenges, or see more of the Pokemon builds, definitely make sure to subscribe. Like I said earlier, I'm not coming out with videos only on the last 2 days of February, so inversely, basically, that just means I'm coming out with videos every single day, except for the last couple of days of February. Every year from now until, I think it's January 2028, and then when we get there, I will decide whether or not I'm going to be continuing every day, if I'm going to be reducing, and if I'm going to be doing the inevitable Pokemon that have been released since then. We will see when we get there. But yeah, like I said, if you've enjoyed this stuff, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys!